What's up guys, my name's Petey from Charlie Intel. So 2016 is a very unique year for the Call of Duty franchise, as instead of getting one major release as we normally do each year, we instead got two major releases, which of course is Infinite Warfare by Infinity Ward as part of the 3-year development cycle, alongside two other studios, Treyarch and Sledgehammer Games. And on top of that, we also got Modern Warfare Remastered, which was developed by Raven Software, who was a separate studio within the Activision House of Studios that has been heavily involved in the franchise since 2010. And Modern Warfare Remastered was more of a surprise as opposed to an expectation amongst the Call of Duty community and so on. So we didn't really expect it to come along, and all of a sudden it was announced during the year, of course, of Infinite Warfare. Now, releasing a remaster alongside a big new release is actually of questionable benefit when you come to think about it. For example, Modern Warfare Remastered released alongside Infinite Warfare in the same month has actually taken away some of the buzz and hype around Infinite Warfare in general. For example, Infinite Warfare was of course a future-based Call of Duty with wall running and boost jumping and so on, whereas Modern Warfare Remastered is of course a ground-based Call of Duty, boots on the ground with a modern-day setting and so on. So obviously that's going to cater towards some people more so as opposed to Infinite Warfare, so you can see why it might cause a bit of a rift in terms of customer opinion or user opinion or fan opinion in terms of which game they prefer to play. Now, that might not sound like a bad thing when you first come to think about it, but Activision has actually ploughed most of their development time and marketing budgets into Infinite Warfare, and Modern Warfare Remastered, at least up until the release of both games in November 2016, was more of a pre-order incentive as opposed to being a game by itself, to ultimately try and shift more copies of Infinite Warfare in November 2016 and more so across the year, until of course they end up selling Modern Warfare Remastered by itself separately in a few months' time, I imagine. So if you consider everything so far, it also demonstrates that Activision is potentially at the beginning of changing their marketing strategy in terms of how or what they release into the Call of Duty franchise in years to come. So not only are they willing to release more than one game in a single year, such as they have done this year with Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, it's also very clear that they're looking for more and more ways to monetize the franchise through things such as supply drops, COD points, season pass content, weapon variants, and so on. So this kind of brings me on to a concept we might see in the future as a potential replacement to releasing remasters such as Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, or perhaps even Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2, which I know many of you guys have been requesting in comment sections across YouTube, Twitter, and so on. I know loads of people would love to see particular games remastered in the Call of Duty franchise in the coming years, or potentially a replacement to releasing brand new Call of Duty titles each year into the Call of Duty franchise in the very, very distant future. And I mean in many, many years to come from now. So not in like 2 or 3 years, but perhaps in 5 or 10 years from now, when the Call of Duty franchise landscape is very different. Perhaps, for example, they're not releasing games every year, but perhaps every 2 or 3 years. Who knows what the future of the franchise is? It's very unpredictable, so we might have a very, very different situation in many years to come. But this is a very interesting concept, and it's currently happening right now, but not in countries that most of you are watching this video in. So I think many of us have heard of Call of Duty Online, which is essentially a Call of Duty game released exclusively in China as a free-to-play microtransaction game. I know many of you are probably shuddering at the words free-to-play microtransaction game, which is developed by Activision Shanghai and Raven Software. So yes, you heard that right. Raven Software, the very same team that put together, of course, the remastered version of Modern Warfare. So it's kind of a very different concept to what we have in the Western markets, such as North America, Europe, and so on, where we pay $60 or so each year to get the base game alongside a season pass we have to pay for to receive 4 DLC map packs, and also supply drops and supply drop content with microtransactions and such on the side with COD points and so on as well. So we have a very, very different model to what China has in terms of Call of Duty Online. But as you can probably guess, we might slightly be going towards that direction in terms of COD points, supply drops, season passes, and so on. So over the course of the last like 5 or 10 years, Call of Duty is definitely more monetized than ever before in terms of extra content, microtransactions, and just DLC in general. So just to give you a little more background in terms of Call of Duty Online, the game features a new gaming model which gives the player the ability to personalize weapons, characters, and equipment with localized, unique content tailored towards the needs and interests of gamers in China, obviously for right now because it's exclusively available to those in China. The game also reuses dozens of maps, character models and weapons from both the Modern Warfare and Black Ops series, which can be seen in trailers, and Ghosts and Advanced Warfare content has also been added recently also to the game. So essentially, it's a massive mashup of loads of Call of Duty games amongst the Modern Warfare and Black Ops series alongside other games into one big game, which is then kind of fueled by free-to-play microtransaction content, which of course you put money into to then unlock content within the game. But the actual game itself is completely free, so if you are in China, you can play this game for free. And of course, if you want to put money into it and get personalized content, you can. And as you probably can imagine, this game is very much tailored towards you buying extra content to then obviously make Activision more money. So I guess the big question is, could this free-to-play type concept fueled by DLC and microtransactions potentially reach markets other than China in the distant future? Well, since microtransactions are making Activision a shit ton of money through supply drops and other forms of DLC in recent years and months, I think it's safe to say that one day in the future, whether it's 5 or 10 years from now, and let me just clarify, it definitely won't be anytime soon, but definitely potentially a possibility in the future, there's a really good chance the concept of having a game like Call of Duty Online, where it's a mashup of several Call of Duty games in one, could be the new business model for the franchise in the distant future, as I mentioned. And it could even give us a ton of remastered maps and content fueled through DLC releases, kind of how they release big expansions for other franchises like Destiny and so on, where they release big expansions like every 6 or 12 months. They could even do that for Call of Duty Online through the form of, let's say, remasters of previous games, I guess, in just one big kind of net where it's all surrounded by Call of Duty Online. That could actually be a really cool idea. Obviously, the introduction of a free-to-play concept in Western markets outside of China, such as North America and Europe and so on, really comes down to the success of each game that is released each year in the Call of Duty franchise. Right now, we have big new releases, flagship games such as next year we're going to have a game by Sledgehammer Games in 2017, followed by Treyarch in 2018. If they obviously continue to sell really well, then the idea of having a free-to-play game might not make business sense to Activision, but if a sales decline continues as it has done in recent years, it might become unsustainable to have 3 studios working on massive games that aren't selling very well, and in turn it might then lead to a potential microtransaction-fueled concept such as Call of Duty Online becoming more widespread across the world, such as I mentioned, in other countries other than China. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the course of the next few years, and who knows, it might be a free-to-play game that is Call of Duty instead of being something we pay $60 for every single year, alongside the Season Pass, DLC content, supply drops, COD points, and everything else on top of that also. So be sure to let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. Would you love to see a mashup Call of Duty where it's like a mashup of several games into one, kind of like Call of Duty Online with personalization and microtransactions and so on, which could potentially be free to play also? Let me know in the comment section below. Love to hear your thoughts and opinions of this in the comment section. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for further Charlie Intel content every 1 to 2 days. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. Goodbye.